to the ring right now, ladies and gentlemen, out of Mound, Minnesota, at 218 pounds, he is the great Greg Gagne.
What's up, everybody? This is Dominic D'Angelo of FourHorsemenNetwork.com, OneTrueSportTV.com, and I am here usually it's every Tuesday, but it's Wednesday today. I'm with Greg Gagne and the boss himself. We're having a little straight talk. It's Magnum TA. How you guys doing today?
Good.
I know it's hard to ask like one or the other. I'm just like
I was up all night. I had about 2 hours sleep. I'm not thinking too quick today.
Yeah, that's okay. I never think quick.
Slower than usual, but I'm always slow thinking. Let's ask TA. He's always on top of his game.
TA is. He's on the ball.
He works about 12, 14 hours a day.
My goodness.
Nonstop.
You just gotta stay a little half pissed off all the time to keep yourself motivated.
Well, I'm pissed off all the time. I'm not just half pissed off.
Oh. Well, it's been an interesting week of wrestling yet again. And the follow-up with Netflix on Raw happened. And little different kind of vibe. Not The Rock's not there. We didn't have any of the big names, like a massive, like legendary names or anything like that. It was straight up what we're getting maybe with Raw moving forward here. Magnum, did you get to catch any of it? Or if you did, what'd you think?
I enjoyed it 10 times better than I did last week.
Yes.
I like the vibe. I like somebody popped up Penta's debut and seeing him come down that ramp and be part of that deal. I mean, I've followed his career for quite a while, and he's going to be an impact player for the organization. I mean, it's just very, very cool, legit, real star kind of deal that was made on ground other than WWE ground. So it's kind of cool to see him make his way there.
Yeah, and they promoted him. Oh, go ahead, Greg.
Who are you talking about?
Penta. Yep.
Yeah.
Making it. Mm-hmm.
He made an impact.
Yes.
That whole Netflix show was really, because it's worldwide. I mean, they had the girls competing for the championship, Irish Gal against the other one's from Australia?
Yep, Dakota Kai and Lyra Valkyria.
And I thought they did a great job all the way through that show, really making it, worldwide, and brought in talent from different parts of the country. It was really a good show. I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, Greg, I think that's a great point though you make up too, because we were talking on the phone earlier, and you mentioned about like how all these names were from like different countries, and it didn't really dawn on me about it. It's like it really is becoming like an international product with all these different names that get in the mix, and it's only benefiting everything and making creating new characters and just giving a good mothership kind of vibe almost. It's the big kahuna.
Well, they've taken wrestling to where every promoter wanted it to go. Mm-hmm. Going back to our day, I mean, all the promoters, they had their territories, but everybody wanted to be worldwide.
Yeah.
And those guys believed in this sport back then when it came on TV in the 50s, that mm-hmm. it was a major competitor. And right now, after watching them the other night and listening to the way they were promoting all these other countries, I mean, they're going to be bigger than the NFL. That's my prediction.
Man, it's big. Like you look at it, because like the NBA is super big, like in China and internationally wise. It's like, they got their audience in the United States, but it's just like, yeah. And wrestling is all encompassing. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's for everybody. You can go anywhere and see pro wrestling. Basically, it's quite the venture they're doing. And
well, it's great. For the personalities in wrestling, you get to know them through the interviews, through watching them. Through watching basketball, you're just watching a basketball game. You never really get into the personality of the individuals that are out there. Mm-hmm. And that's why in wrestling, you're either successful or you're not. If you don't have any kind of a personality and you can't deliver that to the fans, you're not going to be there. And Magnum, after watching that show last week, I wasn't around him enough or that organization to know the impact he had on professional wrestling. He made an impact that was phenomenal. And he had the body, he's got the look, he had the whole thing going for him, and he still does.
Still do.
Still does.
I got none of it. I can still talk just a wee bit.
Just a little bit.
You were on. I'm sorry.
Just a little bit there.
I didn't want you to hear that.
Yeah, no. But back to that show.
Yeah.
The show is going to be a success, and it's going to be, to everybody's point, they've always appealed to a global market. It is just that the platform itself leads in heavier with the Netflix platform. I will say, I still have little glitches with Netflix every once in a while.
Oh, I did too.
Doing little weird things, but maybe that's just because they're so successful and doing so well. But I mean, production-wise, it looked just like anything they'd ever put on a cable network. I mean, it looked fantastic. So and it fits in. I mean, because Netflix has got all this original programming, and and nothing gets more original than the longest running sitcom of all time. Really, literally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's there hasn't been anything else in the history of television.
No,
it's true. And the neat aspect about, they're kind of on the forefront of this Netflix live streaming thing is WWE. So they're like the highlight product that you can tune in live and watch. Obviously, they had the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson thing, and that was very big. But obviously, with the tech issues, it kind of like gets forgotten about. But this is like their main thing right now. So they're on the forefront of it all. So if Netflix decides to move forward with more with sports and live streaming and everything like that, WWE is the first to do it. And I think that's nothing to really shake a stick at. I mean, that's something to really note about. I think it's a kind of a big deal in a lot of ways.
TA, were you having trouble with the broadcast freezing up?
It's not I think, honestly, I don't think it's got anything to do with Netflix. I think it's got to do with
it's the Wi-Fi.
All of us doing all this network media in our homes, where we've got all the multiple devices streaming at a time. Because when it happens on my television, I can pop it on my phone and it's fine. So it's obviously, it's really probably nothing in the network. It's probably just the fact that so many of us have multiple people in our home using streaming type platforms at one time. You can overload your own internal network.
I'm streaming about 10 different things at a time.
Oh my gosh!
You're doing that just between your ears.
No, but mine's a company we have here called MediaCom, and I have called them since we moved in here. The other day, the TV was out for 8 hours. And they had a guy out here fixing them. I said, "Hey, can you come in and help me out? I've called the company. I said, all I get is a recording, and they don't call me back. And during the wrestling, it kept was freezing up on me. I was going out of my mind. And then on the football game the other night with the Vikings, of course, that didn't make any difference.
Not for you, though.
For the whole game.
Oh man,
it's your Wi-Fi system.
Yeah. And maybe it's all those ice fishers out there.
Oh God, I'm losing my mind. I unloaded on them the other night.
Get angry, Greg Gagne over.
Well, then they send you a deal. They want you to buy their phone. I said, why would I buy your phone? I can't even get the TV to work for Christ's sake.
If I can't get the TV to work, what's the deal?
I left them a nasty message. I've not heard back.
Well, hey, this episode is going to be a pretty different one. We're taking a lot of fan questions this week.
Good.
I'm thinking. So we're going to do a little bit of that.
We got a lot of fans. We got more than 10.
We got more than 10, believe it or not. Yeah, I'm quite shocked.
On fire, TA.
So I did screenshot, before Robert gets to a couple that he's already starred here, I do have a couple I screenshotted from last week, and we'll start with some of those. Let's see. Here's a good one for Magnum. Maria Graciela Sayas. She's already in the chat here this week too, so hello, Maria. She says, question for Magnum. When Sting started in WCW, did you see him becoming the icon he eventually became?
No. Not at all.
Yeah,
I saw somebody who had natural charisma and the fans loved him, but he was so uncomfortable in that original character.
Mm-hmm.
It was like I felt like he was embarrassed to be playing the role. I don't think he liked the surfer, bleach blonde, spiked hair, Sting version at all.
Mm-hmm.
And so, where he went on to be, the icon Sting that we've been celebrated today was really the transition when he grew the hair out and became more comfortable in his own skin and changed the whole gimmick. So when I saw him burst on the scene, I thought, yeah, he's going to have a run.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't see it having remotely the legs that it ended up having, but obviously he reinvented himself, which was what ultimately he needed to do to lean in hard to it and do all the really really good things he did in the body of work in his career, because he was very talented. He was just originally miscast.
Mm-hmm.
When you're miscast and it gets over, and then you're in an uncomfortable lane, that's a lot to recover from. So
yeah,
but really, when you think about it, it's just really more kudos to him that he persevered and went on to have that long illustrious career.
So you don't think he ever got really comfortable in the surfer sitting kind of gimmick then, basically?
No.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No, it was. I think it was. No, I think Sting was a guy that had aspired to be a professional bodybuilder, and had an injury early on in his training and tore his pec, and it wasn't his first choice. It wasn't his first love. Bodybuilding was, and I think he came to love the sport and threw his heart into it. But I don't really think it was till years into his career, as he pivoted and changed, that all that came about being.
Yeah. Greg, did Sting fall on your radar at all?
Yeah, interesting story. There was a picture set with Sting and 3 other guys, all bodybuilders, and wanted to come to the AWA and wrestle. And of course, Vern wasn't big on the bodybuilders.
Sure.
He wanted to know if they could wrestle or not. And whoever trained them, Vern didn't feel like he would have fit in real good with the crew that we had. If he'd have been able to learn, I mean, he should have learned from we had Ray Stevens and Bockwinkel and all these guys that were veterans, and so he passed on them.
Mm-hmm. Oh wow, how about that? Dang. Well, the thing with Sting, Magnum, to your point, like when he turned to Crow Sting and everything like that, there was so much he did by not talking. Like he was so great at having a presence and not even speaking, and like really got him over, I think, as that anti-hero that a lot of fans were looking for at the time, and a good like adversary to the NWO eventually, like with all that.
Well, I don't know if you've ever heard Eric Bischoff tell the story, but I listened to it on a podcast sometime in the last week or so, that Sting was really going through a really tough personal time in his life. And there was a whole year that he's in this, just showing up in the rafters, doing this whole thing that, this dark character that he was really in true life going through some trials and tribulations. So this metamorphosis that took place was in this transition, was playing along with his personal life. And so, what he dug into and, brought that character out, nobody probably knows, the rest of the story, but there was a lot of rhyme and reason why, they initially did it, and then it ended up taking a life of its own.
Wow. How about that? So I didn't know he was going through a lot of personal issues at that time. So that's pretty interesting too.
Yeah,
an added caveat. How about that? Well, good stuff. Yeah, Sting's awesome.
From Bischoff, he's right on.
Yeah.
About a lot of stuff he is.
Yeah, no, he is, but there's a lot of things that he.
Oh, that's right. You and him.
You guys are close.
We're good buddies. Yep.
You're good. You're good pals.
I just want to throw one more drop kick.
All right. Hey, Greg, we got a question for you here.
Okay.
Jez Creed, he asked last week, Greg, your Mad Dog Vachon story about him opening the plane door is legendary. Are there any other Mad Dog stories you have from that era?
Oh, my God.
Loaded question.
I don't know if I can tell him. Oh, he was a personality, man. I wish I could think of one real quick here because there was we were around him a lot. He was a big part of the AWA, and he was a different cat. And you never really knew what was going to happen when he was around or what was going to be said.
I believe it.
Yeah, and I remember the first time I wrestled him.
Mm-hmm.
I said to my dad, I said, "What do I do with this guy?" And he said, "Hit him twice as hard as he hits you."
Yeah.
And I went, and he says, "Good luck." And I remember I went in there and we exchanged a couple, and I got him with a really good one, and I took him down, and I had him in something, and all of a sudden he scratches my back. Oh my God. And I jumped up and he hit me again and threw me out of the ring. And I was laying there and he jumps off the apron. He did this to Jim too, came both feet on the stomach, knocked the wind out of you, threw me back in the ring. And I had hit him pretty hard. And he says, "Not that hard."
Not that hard.
So after he just peeled the skin off my back. But no, he was a character, and I'll think of some stories here, and I'll have them for next week because there was a lot of those stories with him that I gotta be careful how I present them.
Right? Yeah, vetted a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. This next question was from Fernando Zayas from last week. This is a question for both Magnum and Greg. We talked about this one. Never mind. We covered that one. It was about Tully Blanchard, and was he just as good as Ric Flair? We covered that last week. Here's one for Magnum. Matthew Rodriguez. Question for Magnum. If you were back in the 80s, in the 80s, Magnum TA persona, would you have loved to face somebody like, if he were back in the 80s, persona, would you have loved to face somebody like a Hangman Adam Page in the ring in the match? Thanks in advance. Do you Hangman think would complement one another well, or is your styles a little different?
It would have been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody in that era, that would have launched, some of the aerial type things like the flip over the rope and the lariat thing that minimum things that he did is really. It's so hard. I mean, I can see working with him, but the stylizations were so drastically different that some of the things that are kind of the pat deal that they, do in AEW, and particularly were things that we wouldn't have looked at quite as fondly.
Yeah,
we really considered the lucha was a lucha stylization, which is what I call that, wasn't as heavily embraced, for lack of a better word. I can't, for instance, imagine Harley Race standing there and him coming over the top with that little deal and hitting him and Harley, blowing a booger on him or something.
Right.
Yeah, but so again, it's just difference in the era.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of his intensity piece that he came up with, could have been really good because you got the hustle. He's not quite as big a guy as as was the standard kind of at the time. But I mean, Tully Blanchard was only like 220.
Yeah,
and he could hustle and go and convince you that he could kick somebody's ass. So I'm sure that Hangman could have done the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, he has the look, that's for sure.
Got the look, and I really like. I like the direction they went with him. I wish they leaned into it harder.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes they they didn't know exactly how to develop that character to the degree that could have been, particularly when he was working the angle with Swerve.
Yeah.
It just some of the things didn't make sense with the new harder image that he had. But I think there's a lot to that whole character that he's got there that could be, could fit right in with John Moxley's group, and that whole different edgier side of the guys, and not quite so cutesy as it started out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. He would elevate John Moxley's group. I think that Death Riders thing is not hitting. I don't think it's doing very well, and they got to pivot on that, I think, at some point. But before I forget, too, I don't think I talked about it. What do you think of the direction they're taking with Ricochet, too, now? Have you gotten to see what this new version of him
I like that, personally. I think it's a way for him to, find an edgier side of himself. And to me, it's more convincing. He's more convincing in that lane. And, I think there's a lot to explore there. They could, I'm not sure if that's kind of organic, if they kind of played into, what some of the reactions and things that are coming from the fans, because it's really hard. You put him and Will Ospreay out there, and guys that both patented high flyers, and at some point in time, people have seen a lot of gymnastic routines.
Yeah.
And so it's really good timing for him to turn around and stab somebody in the head with a pair of scissors. I mean, it couldn't be any better timing, because that's what I was hoping was going to happen in WWE. I was hoping when they dropped it, when Breaker dropped him into the windshield and stuff, and he had that time off. I was personally hoping contract wasn't going to run out, and he was going to come back a new version of himself.
Yeah.
And fist taped up, and throwing hands, and more intense, and and still having the things in his tool bag, but show that version there. So I think he's doing it just in another place, and it'll be interesting to see. I mean, he's a genius in storytelling. He can work any style. He can work without doing cutting one flip.
Yeah.
And, I mean, I watched him work, a regular old school style match. So he understands the psychology, and he understands how to bring the people along on this emotional ride. And if he gets really comfortable in this lane with his character, we might see the best version of Ricochet we've seen yet.
I'm with you. I think that I love what they're doing with him. The way he dresses and his attitude being like that petulant kind of like, annoying, but having a good adversary like Swerve too. I think this is the right lane for Ricochet to be in right now, to kind of reinvent himself, but just make himself feel main event like we've been waiting on, for WWE to do at that point, and then AEW when they bring him in. So it's just,
yeah, I popped. I watched something. He said something about Samantha being at home. He said, well, somebody's got to be there to make me a sandwich.
Oh my gosh, that's some heel stuff there.
Oh, I popped. That's right. She didn't need to be like main eventing out there in the middle of hundreds of thousands of people. She needs to be able to make me a sandwich.
Man, that's some heel stuff there. That's the way to do it, right?
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do. I hope they do more with him and let him kind of just have some free will a little bit. All right. I think that does it for my past week's questions. Robert, I'm going to let you make the choices of which questions you want Greg and Magnum to ask. So you pick away. He's got some good ones to start. CB asks, Greg, is the way Tiffany Stratton talks on the mic a gimmick, or is she really like that for real?
That's really her. I told you, she was the hardest person I have ever tried to work with in the ring.
Really?
Oh, pain in the ass. Got this attitude, you know. She'd come to. I had two other guys, two men, JDX and this Rampage Savage, and I don't know why the WWE hasn't grabbed them because they're really good. And we were, you know, working with them, and she was late for the workout. I came. I said, "Where you been?" Well, I'm too tired. I just want to lay here and watch. She laid on the mat, and I said, "You don't need to lay there in the mat. You need to get in your car and go home. And I'm done with you. You're done. I'm not going to train you." What? And she got mouthy with me, and we exchanged a few words. And I said, "Get out of here. Go home." She came back about 10 minutes later. I said, "What are you doing?" I told her to go home. I'll get in the ring. I'll work hard. She did that to me twice. But that's her attitude, you know. And it's funny. Her mom, when Tiffany started the WWE, she was there for a while. She called me up. She was in town and wanted to have lunch with her and her mom. And her mom starts. You'd think she knew more about wrestling than anybody in the world. And what they were going to do with Tiffany and how they were going to do it.
Yeah.
I said, "What do you mean? What are you going to do?" "Well, we're getting a lawyer. We're going to copyright Tiffany Stratton. And what's her little saying? It's Tiffy time."
Tiffy time, yeah.
I said, WWE owns that. And if you start thinking with that stuff, she won't be there any longer.
Oh, man, yeah.
With an athlete like that? And I said, yeah, with an athlete like that. I know she's a good athlete, but you just do what they tell you to do.
Yeah.
And if you try to do anything like that, you know, and her parents are looking at, you know.
Yeah. Well, lucky you gave them the heads up, Greg.
Yeah, so I see where she got it from. But
send them the Mandy Moore story.
Which one?
Mandy Moore.
What's that? What's that, Megan?
I mean, the one. Who was the girl? Was the NXT champion?
Oh, yes. Oh my gosh, Robert will know. I'm trying to think. Her name's Mandy Sachs, but what'd she go by in? Man, why can't I think of her name? There, Robert's got it. Mandy Rose.
Mandy Rose. Yeah.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah. You know, if you cross the line, it doesn't matter whether you're on top. Doesn't matter how big you think you are. Doesn't matter what. See you when you be it.
Yeah.
They got such a line of talent in that pool that that you definitely want to have a good attitude and be politically correct.
Absolutely.
You know, one person I haven't seen for a while, and did she get hurt bad, was Jade Cardell.
They took her off television. I think she's hurt. I think she's legitimately hurt. I'm not positive on that.
Yeah.
But I believe, she's got to recover from an injury or something. That's because she was the tag team champs with Bianca at the time too. So they had to.
When you talk about the girls roster, I mean, they're phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, that Nia Jax, she is the best I have ever seen.
Wow. Yeah.
She is terrific. The matches she's been having, and to keep that heat that she's got, phenomenal.
Heck yeah.
What do you think, Jay?
Oh, the best big woman, you know, without a doubt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the best ever. There's a lot. Yeah. There's too many talented women in that. Say to say the best ever, but no woman of size and stature, and I'm not saying height, but that's overall size.
Right.
She is just and it's got to be someone special. I mean, it's like Dusty. Dusty did not look like an athlete, and ended up, you know, one of the best in entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, she moves just amazing.
Doesn't she?
Size. I mean, absolutely amazing for girls that are half her size.
Mm-hmm.
and knows how to get all the mileage out of all the things that, rather than having to do 100 things, she can do one thing that is so devastating. It's you know, it has that impact that people have no problem believing she just squashed her like a bug.
Yeah.
You know, it's over.
I can't wait till she comes on. Really, every week I watch for her.
Yeah.
She's got me hooked.
She's great. She adds such a great, element to the women's division that nobody else has.
No.
Like it's the size and the presence, and you really do, I think, need somebody like that in there. It'll be interesting to see what they decide to do on SmackDown because that women's division is stacked. But I don't. A lot of them, like I think Nia's portrayed well. I think, my goodness, Naomi's portrayed very well. I think Bailey though has kind of hit like this plateau of a baby face almost, where it's just like. I want to see a different thing of her, like where she's such a top star, but I just don't know if this babyface role is clicking for her as well as it usually is. But
she's a better heel.
Yeah,
You're a better heel, but it's like they got we got some unknowns there because we don't know what's going on with Charlotte.
Yep.
We don't know what's going on with Becky Lynch. We don't know. We don't know. There's several little wild card things, and now that they've got, a U.S. Women's Champion, and the new belt.
Yep.
It is. They've just got a lot of different platforms they can go on with their storytelling. So
I get mixed up now. They have too many champions.
There's a lot, but I think it's a little bit more streamlined than what AEW has because they have too many titles. AEW does, but at least. Yeah. At least though with WWE, it seems they have a direction for each of these titles.
Yeah, it does. They're doing a good job that way, but still, it's a little confusing at times.
Yeah,
for a guy like me,
it's hard to keep track of a lot.
Older guys,
Yeah. So now they have two secondary titles for the women: one on SmackDown, one on Raw, and then their main title. So four singles, women's singles, and then one tag team title for the women's. And then, there's a lot of titles. There's a lot.
There's a lot of titles. Yeah.
That's a great point, Greg.
It gets a little confusing.
Yes. All right, Robert, what we got next? What's the next one you want to hit? Here we go. Doug Myers. Greg, where are the old AWA rings now? Also, do you remember wrestling at the Boylan High School in Rockford, Illinois?
Oh, Rockford, Illinois. I used to burn that place down. It was a hot little town.
Yeah.
Wrestled in Boylan High School, and it was always full, and the fans were fantastic. They were just great. There in Green Bay.
Oh, yeah.
Green Bay, we wrestled on Sundays, and there's the arena's right across from the stadium.
Wow,
football.
Really?
So they would play football. And of course, they're all drunk, and then they'd come over to the matches. We were sold out for 3 years straight, and we'd sell out the night we had the card there for the next match. They didn't even know what the matches were.
Wow.
And that was they'd come over there, and they were wild. Great fans. It gives you a great atmosphere when you get in the ring. But yeah, Rockford was a really a good stop for us. A lot of fun.
Now, would you ever get any Packers coming in there watching the matches?
Oh, yeah, they'd come over too.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'd sneak in the back and have a beer with us.
You can't beat that. That's great. Cool. And then what about those AWA rings? You know whatever happened to them?
Well, George Gadasky was in charge. George wrestled, he refereed, he hauled the ring truck, put the rings up, took them down, drove in the snow from Minneapolis to Winnipeg and back again, 30 below zero, and he never missed a shot.
Wow.
But he was always go to Wally Carmy. He says, "Hey, Wally, the boys, they broke a bunch of the boards. So I got to get some new ones." So Wally give him the money to go out and get new boards. And about 2 years later, we were out at his place, and he had a barn built out of the all new boards.
Wow.
So the rings got recycled into a barn. I'm trying to tell you, that's the rest of that.
But he took the new ones. He didn't really break any of the boards.
He didn't break any. Oh, he just took them.
He would tell him. So Wally ended up buying him a whole barn.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Oh, God, he was a dandy. He was such a character. Scrap Iron Gadasky.
Scrap Iron Gadasky.
Only one of a kind.
Oh, man. All right, Robert, what's up next? Magnum, CB, do you think Vince McMahon would have put the WWF Championship on Sting if Sting had gone to WWF instead of the Ultimate Warrior? Do you think Sting had enough charisma and stuff to be elevated by Vince?
I don't know that version of Sting that Vince would have been as behind it as he did the Warrior. Warrior had, obviously had like crazy physique.
Yeah.
And Vince was, really into that look. And I mean, Warrior was, gosh, probably 30 pounds bigger than Sting and ripped.
Yeah.
And, I mean, and it's not that Sting, didn't look like an amazing athlete, and he was. What he could do in the ring far exceeded what the Warrior could do. Not even close. I mean, as limited as people would say, oh, Sting was when he started, he was light years ahead of the Warrior. But that look was so, off the chain because he was just, for all intents and terms, wannabe professional bodybuilder, and Vince just, pushed that to the moon. So, no, I don't think the two interchange, one for one, the same, even remotely. I don't think it would have worked out.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that, Magnum, because you think how the Warrior character was portrayed, like the Warrior was all in on that character, like he was all like it was, to the 11. And Sting, what you were just saying was like Sting was not feeling confident in that role at that time, and so I think that could have probably been a detriment to him too at the moment. So yeah. All right, Robert, what we got next? Let's see. Anticipation. Here we go. Logan, how much will the MLW figures cost, and when are they going to be on pre-order? Any details on that, Magnum?
Yes, details to come. I've got a meeting on Friday. With the head of MLW to discuss when that whole thing is going to kick off, and so hold on to your hat because we're planning the launch as we speak.
Ooh, great stuff.
In terms of cost, it will be. I will tell you, it will be the most cost-effective product we've made thus far. So we'll be able to pass this along at a much more attainable price to the fans. And like I said, I'm not going to put the number on it till everybody has blessed it, but I think everybody will be pleasantly surprised.
That's fantastic. All right. I'm excited for it. He follows up too. Are the Matt and Brian Myers figures 2-packs, are they ready to ship?
They are in Los Angeles, passing customs, preparing to get on a 2-man team truck that's going to drive them straight to our fulfillment center. So I expect them to be shipping next week.
How about that? There we go. A little bit of information there, everybody.
I've got a little question here for the fans out there.
Yeah.
Who would they like to see for action figures?
Yes.
I just put a few things down. Tag teams, Demolition, High Flyers, Fabulous Ones, Crusher Bruiser, the Shans, Koloffs. I want to put Dusty and Magnum in there, but I think Dusty's locked up with the WWE. And how about the Nitro Girls?
Ooh.
Remember them with Dallas Page? Dallas Page and the Nitro Girls. Rashke, Butcher Vachon, Ox Baker, Kurt Von Hess, King Kong Bundy, Yukon Eric, Jerry Blackwell, Igor, and Ivan Putski.
There's some legends right there. A good mix of them.
I mean, we've got all kinds of Adrian Adonis, Blackjack Monk. I got one. Wrestlers that played pro football.
Ooh, I like that. That's a good series too. Marcus D'Angelo, my brother.
I'll give you a few of them. Vern Gagne with the Bears, Wilbur Snyder, Edmonton, Blackjack Mulligan. I forget where Jack played, but I know he played I think the Jets. Wahoo McDaniels.
Ooh, yes, I'd like that.
Wahoo, he played against the Jets when Namath was there.
He played with Namath, right? Then he played against him because didn't he play at Miami too?
He played with him in New York.
Yeah,
and he played with him, but against him too, because I remember watching that game.
Yeah.
And he made so many tackles. Finally, the announcer would go, "Who made the tackle? Guess who?" And the crowd would go, "Wahoo!" He made a number of tackles. Bobby Duncombe played with the St. Louis Cardinals. Dick the Bruiser with the Detroit, and Ivan Putski, his real name was Joe Bernardsky.
Oh,
played
man.
pro football. It's something that people haven't seen before. So if they have ideas, throw them out to us.
Throw them out there. Absolutely throw them out there. James Boys for a tag team figure, says Chrome's Odyssey. The James Boys.
The James Boys. I don't know if we have them under contract or not.
Interesting.
TA?
They're from Parts Unknown.
Parts Unknown.
That's why I can't find them.
That's it.
I found
245. I know a guy.
Do you? Oh. We'll do let's see. Oh, okay. Here's a Christopher Commentity for the $10. Could Scott Hall have taken the AWA to the same lengths as Hogan did in the WWF, Greg? Scott Hall.
Not when he was first there. Scott came in real green with us, hadn't had very, very many matches, and we put him with Kurt Hennig as a tag team.
Yeah.
And he learned a lot because we had all the great other personalities, the Bachwinkles and the Stevens there to help guide him along and get him to where he was. So he was just coming out of that shell of being a rookie when he went elsewhere.
Yeah.
And he finally, he developed that character, that persona.
Yeah.
And he learned the ring work with the AWA. And to me, if you go on Instagram, he's on there more than anybody. The people loved him.
Oh yeah, he's my all-time favorite.
Go.
All-time. I wouldn't be a wrestling fan. I wouldn't be in wrestling if it wasn't for him involved.
Really?
Oh, 100%. He was my guy.
No kidding.
Yeah, definitely. He was my Razor Ramon, and then Scott Hall and WCW, all that. Yep. Good question. I always like that. I always like hearing Scott. All right, Robert. What else we got? We'll take a few more here coming up. Thanks for the $10, by the way, for that. That was really nice of you. Let's see. Triple E. Do you three have any predictions for Tessa versus Jordan at TNA Genesis this week and Joe Henry versus Nick Nemeth? Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, Tessa's in action this weekend in a big pay-per-view match.
Tessa's going to kick her ass.
There you go.
Yeah.
I'll go with TA on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to kick a mud hole in her.
Oh, man.
Poor Jordan is so ripped up and cut up and got her in the best bodybuilding shape, like going back to that, world-class physique that she had months, last year when she was competing. And that is a great, fantastic look. But when it comes to being in a fight and not having any padding on your body, that thin skin will run you in the ground.
Ooh.
And that's a fact.
Yeah.
If you put a professional bodybuilder in a wrestling ring and had them take all the bumps you take in a 15, 20-minute match, they'd be in the hospital.
I believe it.
Because there's no padding.
Yeah.
There's nothing there. It's just skin and bone and muscle. And you got to have a little bit of something on you to be able to absorb that. But all kidding aside, it will be a fantastic match. Of course, my money is on my girl, but it'll be. There's a lot of things coming full circle.
It's pretty neat. It's pretty neat to see. I'm excited to see her back.
Well, I know more about having not enough meat on the bones after 5 back surgeries and another one coming up.
Oh, those dang back stuff, Dan.
I was awake till 5:30 this morning and got up at 7 o'clock.
Oh my gosh.
Couldn't sleep. Went in for rehab today, though.
How are you? How's it going? Is it going all right?
It goes, it's good the day they do it, and I ice it and heat it, but I still have to have another surgery here pretty soon.
Yeah.
You're going to need more than another surgery after this sabbatical you're getting ready to go on.
Maybe they'll give you a lobotomy.
He's going to be hanging.
I told my kid, well, they got me, my wife passed away about 6 years ago. And I didn't know it until my daughter, my wife, Mary, had put some money aside and she wanted the family to go on a vacation for her.
Yeah.
And she just told us about it about 4 months ago. Oh God, I forgot about this. And I realized So I said, okay, the whole family's going to go, and they picked out where they wanted to go. And I said, okay, I'll take care of the rooms.
Mhm.
It was a big number.
It was a little much.
So, and then we had already booked a cruise with Laura to go to the Panama Canal and up through there.
Yeah.
So now my back's so bad, the kids are all worried, and they say, go to the doctor and ask him about this cruise, because you're going to be, you're going to be in Colombia and places like that. And if something happens to you, they can't operate on you.
Wow.
They'll take your whole back out, or you'll take a leg off. You won't even get the right thing.
Oh,
so I talked to the doctor, and the doctor said, no, you shouldn't go on that trip, and you shouldn't go on the other one to Hawaii.
Wow.
On that plane ride. So I broke that to the kids, and that didn't go over too well. So I'm going on the trip. Well, we'll be there to take care of you. Oh, yeah, right. Sure you will. Yeah. I'll be stuck in the sand somewhere.
Man, well, I'd be careful, Greg.
You'd be stuck when you get back and you can't move, and everybody's going, shoo, shoo, shoo.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they'll just take off. They don't, hey, thanks, Dad. Yeah, but
you'll have more mobility than a seashell at that point.
Oh, walking in the sand. I won't be able to walk in the sand. Christ, then they got me going on a snorkeling trip with them.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. Well, maybe. I said, well, maybe my leg will cramp up and I'll go right down to the bottom. You don't have to worry about it.
Underwater wrestling.
They won't let me take Laura with.
Really?
I mean, one of them, my youngest son, Pete, he has trouble with it yet. He was real close to his mom.
Oh.
And I'm rooming with him.
Yeah.
So anyhow, he wasn't going to go because Laura was going. So I finally had to come to Jesus meeting with all of them. And I took a walk outside, and all I could hear my wife say is, you better take Pete with.
Yeah.
So Pete's going, Laura's staying home.
Pete's Oh, hopefully you have a good time and you stay safe, Greg.
I do too.
You take it easy. It's a vacation. Make it a vacation,
We will.
Yeah. All right.
Wherever we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Logan asked another Power Town question. Is TNA Series 1 still releasing in March or April?
Oh, it'll be released. It's a matter of whether it'll be here. Yeah. I mean, I've got the prototype sitting on my desk.
Yeah.
But there's tweaking some things that weren't 100% to our expectations, because we're not going to turn out a product that is anything less than everything we've done here to date.
Right.
And so we're tweaking and fine tuning, and when it's ready, it'll be ready. I'm excited about it. It's good. It's good stuff. I think the world has gotten so, used to the Mattels and the Jazzwares and these big companies, and, the way they are able to process things and do things, that no one can really wrap their head around the fact that, like 3 years ago, we were just an idea.
Yeah.
And we're not like, Zombie Sailor or some little small company that crafts out, X number of pieces and does everything by hand. We're going through all the painstaking steps that Mattel goes through.
Yeah.
Jazzwares goes through, and we're self-funding this. And the front side of the cost of this is mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. So that cost is normally absorbed by something you're taking to retail, and you're making 20 and 30 and 40,000 units of it, and then that cost is amortized out. So these little small companies don't absorb this huge steel cost because they're not going through the same manufacturing steps that we are.
Yeah.
So we're building a product that is limited in edition, and because it's all new, only reaping X amount of dollars. Now we're building something that's is in the future going to be huge, but the outlay on the front side of this is so big that none of these small companies would even step up to the plate if they had any idea, what kind of undertaking this is. So, I deal with the keyboard warriors and the people that are frustrated, And don't get me wrong, we have implemented some corrective actions within our own organization that's has some people completely replaced in their roles and responsibilities in order to make this the kind of company and product that the fans deserve. But in a perfect world, there is always a lapse time from introducing something to everything going perfect to manufacturing to getting it here to distribution. It's almost like a baby. If you can accomplish all that in 6 to 9 months with everything going perfect, you're doing well. And oh, by the way, there's this thing called Chinese New Year where they shut the entire country down for the better part of a month, and you get nothing done. But all that to say, 25 is going to be a good year. We'll be delivering Myers and Cardona next week. We'll be delivering Remco's, shortly behind. We'll probably have about a 6 to 8 week gestation period while we're trying to get the other things here, meaning TNA and Ultras 2. But in the meantime, we've developed 3 new lines that we're going to have so much development done on the front side that it's going to shorten this window that people have to wait for. So we're trying to cut that down. And we're also working on lines that we're not going to pre-sell at all, that you will have the opportunity to buy when we produce them.
Yeah.
So we're going to have different flavors for different folks, but certainly this, 9 and 12 month, waiting period, is not a model that I'm a fan of in any way, shape, or form. So my thanks to the people that have been patient and understanding, knowing there's been growing pains, but certainly the keyboard warriors that want to sit back and poke the bear when they're in their kayfabe pseudonym names and nobody can identify who they are, can kiss my ass.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them. I like them. I like that, Magnum. That's the boss talk right there. That's straight talk right there.
That's straight talk.
Hey,
Kiss my ass.
Somebody has some straight talk with you too, Magnum. It's Courtney Blanchard Allen says, Magnum, what would you like for dinner?
That'll wait, Courtney.
Yeah, we're doing Japanese tonight. She's not.
Ooh.
I know what we're doing.
It's great.
I bought myself a pork chop.
Did you? Ooh, man. I'm gonna do some stir fry, I think, tonight. That's on my list. A little bit of stir fry. All right, let's see. Maybe we'll do one more question. Robert, dealer's choice on that. I screenshotted some other ones too, so we'll get some more next week for sure. Whatever you want to choose. Here we go. Al Tuttle says, Greg, what was Vern's reaction to the Road Warriors when they refused to drop the tag titles to the Fabulous Ones? Do you remember that, Greg?
I think it was in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember. They said they were too small.
Really?
That's what the Road Warriors were saying.
Oh.
And they were a little difficult to work with.
Physically and professionally.
Physically and that, yeah. But no, that was just, they were so full of a lot of things.
Now, what was Paul with them during that?
Oh yeah, Paul was with them. He was a shit disturber. Vern trained.
Oh, was he?
Oh, he would get everybody worked up, with these quiet little, innuendos. And he would say, well, they're not big enough to beat the Road Warriors. Oh, shit. Anybody is if you do it right, And, it was funny. Vern trained Gene and Ole Anderson and Lars.
Yeah.
And the Road Warriors were trained by a guy named Eddie Sharkey.
I've heard Eddie.
Yeah, Eddie, he's turned out some people, but when they come into the business, they're not ready for the business. They're not ready to be on top at all.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of learning to do, and they come in with an attitude so Vern sent Eddie wanted the Road Warriors here, and he said, well, let's send him down to Ole. Ole was a good friend of his. So he gets down to Ole, and Ole tells him, don't sell anything. Just beat the crap out of her, because they couldn't really have a match. And so that was their MO after that. When they came back, they started that with the Fabulous Ones, and it didn't go so well. But after that, I mean, we were able to have good matches with them, Jim and I, but we would do stuff that, you know, Joe was a little out of hand one night, and took him down and worked the leg, and I put the Indian Deathlock on him. And his legs were so damn big, he didn't have to put much pressure on it. And he says, I'm going to kill you. And I said, well, you're not going to get out of here. And he sat up, and I slapped him as hard as I could. And he went down, put it on a little bit. Oh, you're going to break my leg. But, you know, Vern had taught us enough how to protect ourselves and how we could slow the pace down. And and we were able to do that with them, and we earned their respect. So we had good matches with them. The Fabulous Ones were scared to death of them. And the Road Warriors knew it. So, you know, they took advantage of them a lot, and it was tough. It was tough.
Gosh. Crazy. Well, according to AI here, I typed it in. I was like, who did Eddie Sharkey train? He also trained Rick Rude. Is that true too?
Yep. Rick Rude was another one that came out of there. Again, when those
guys. Barry Darsow come out of there?
That's what I was
Barry did, but Barry had a better feel for the business than the other ones did. You know, the other ones were bodybuilders.
Yeah.
And they didn't have this because they had the big bodies. They thought everybody should fall over for them.
Yeah.
You know, and hey, look at me. You know, this is what the people want to see. Well, they don't. They want to see competition. You know, it has to be a competitive match. And those guys were not trained properly where you could put them right in there and have a good match with them. They only knew one way to do it.
Yeah.
So, you know, Vern would just ship them out to somebody else and let them handle them.
That's it.
Until they learn.
I'm going to give you the counterpoint to all that.
Okay.
And everything he's saying is correct in terms of the right way to go about doing something. But there would have been no Road Warriors if they were trained the way he's talking about, in my opinion.
Oh,
because their rawness and that attitude that came across on the screen was so raw and was so unpredictable and so savage that it wasn't a work, it was a shoot. They were picking people up and just destroying them.
Yeah.
So it took years for it to turn the way to where they could make money and draw money to what you had to do. But I don't believe they could have come in and had as savage of an impact.
Yeah.
You can work, but if you're going to come across so raw that anybody from any walk, whether they're whatever they are, they'll look at them and go, "Holy crap, these guys are killing people," and they were. They were. They really were. And I think I might have. I don't know if I told the story on here or not, but I mean, Jim Duggan and I worked with them in New Orleans, and when we were the tag team champions for Bill, and we were just like, like Greg and those guys. We're smart. We've been working on top, but we watched these guys destroying people. Everything we've seen, they just squash jobs. They sell nothing, whatever. And they came to the ring, and we had, back then, kayfabe, we didn't get to talk beforehand or anything. And Jim and I attacked them. We were horrible to them. Like, we so expected them to try to goozle us up. We did that to them.
Nice.
And of course, we did it in a working way, but we worked so snug and we were so aggressive that they thought they got attacked like, Pearl Harbor. and they brought us to the back afterwards, and Bill never did this, but they brought us back in a kitchen that was a middle ground between the building we were in, and because they wanted to talk to us, and they loved us. They fell in love with us because we were like, they thought we were crazier than they were.
You go.
But it was that raw savagery that they had
Yeah.
It took years for them to dial it down, tone it down, figure out what to do business. But you got to remember, they got fed, and they were superstars in Japan doing the exact same thing, just killing people, not working, not having scientific psychology, nothing, just being, complete flipping madmen like, like Brody was and like Stan was, and, out of that mold. And not until I would say probably, the mid, probably the late '80s did they like calm down to a place to realize, and Paul realized too, that if they couldn't have angles and work with people or work programs and not
Yeah.
just come in and blow in and out and be the enforcer and that attraction that came in for like 4 weeks or 5 weeks,
Right.
the territory, blow in and out, that they could make money. Because when they signed the deal with Crockett, and I think it was 87-ish or so, Jimmy paid him crazy amount of money for back then. I think it was like $500,000 a piece, and like $350 for Paul as manager.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Back then?
There was the luckiest guy in the world.
Yeah, this was 1987, 1988. So that was huge money. And but the thing that happened, and that where everybody kind of had a aha moment, was, well, now you're in the territory, and now you're not going in and out, and now you got to be able to work with the Midnight Express or the Road Warriors, or the Russians, or whoever they put you out
Rock
there
and Roll
with.
Express.
And if you don't have a program, and they started using Paul for the out on some of the times when they weren't getting their hand raised, and they started to figure out how to negotiate and navigate all that.
Yeah.
And, but back to my original statement, had they come through the system, would they have been way better technicians and everything else? 100%. But would they have been able to be as off the chain as what they came across, and as raw and savage as they did? Maybe not. And
Maybe not. No.
And they may not have made that original Road Warrior impact. When that flipping Iron Man music came on, you better have your stuff together. I don't care whether you were across the aisle from them, or you were a partner with them, or if you were in the aisle with them coming down, you better have your stuff together, because they could bump into somebody and knock them ass over tea kettle.
Yeah.
But they were, deep. They were good guys. They were
all the best.
They just came in and didn't realize what the sport was all about.
Well, to my generation, like I look at that, like Goldberg was like that for probably my age. Yeah. Like he would come in just a raw football player, not really trained in the ring. So like what he was doing, like was like legitimately like hitting people.
Well, he was, because he couldn't follow his own interests. His interest was great. He came through the smoke. He blew the smoke out of his nose, and came in there and a couple punches, kicks, and a jackhammer suplex, and it was over.
Yeah.
Right? And he had the gazillion match streak. They're the only people I know that can make a streak go up 45 days in a month. But they were I mean, it was really masterful what they did with them. And like the Road Warriors, Bill ended up learning how to work.
Yeah.
And he started out with this crazy creation they came up with, and he ended up being the smartest guy in the room when it was all over.
Heck yeah. Man, great stuff. What a way to end the show, is a good debate about the Road Warriors. I love that, man.
You did.
That's going to be the name of the title, the Great Road Warrior Debate. That's what I'm going to call it today.
All right.
All right, guys. Well, if you like what you're hearing, be sure to like and subscribe to the OneTrueSportTV.com or FourHorsemenNetwork.com. We air live every week on here at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, typically on Tuesdays. We had to make some adjustments the past couple of weeks, but we'll probably be back on track next week. So be on the lookout. If you also, what Magnum was talking about when it comes to Powertown, keep your eyes peeled for everything. Go to PowertownWrestling.com. Bookmark that. Keep your eyes peeled. Lots more to come. I'm very excited from what Magnum and Greg's been telling me. Should be a really, really fun year for Powertown Wrestling. If you like Greg Gagne a lot, You can follow him on Instagram at Gagne.
I think you say call him. I thought you said.
If you want to call Greg Gagne, I will give you his phone number. No, I'm just kidding.
PR 559.
If you have complaints about the show or about anything in general, here's Greg Gagne's phone number.
Perfect.
If you want to follow Magnum,
There's one guy on Instagram I don't want having my number.
yeah, you don't want nobody having your number.
Laura blocked him for me, and he's still back on there. And I know TA has blocked him.
Oh man, that's it. Magnum TA, Magnum_TA on Instagram. You can follow him. Also at the real Magnum TA on X. You can follow me on X at Dominic D'Angelo, and support the show, support everything. You can get some great merch that we have too, available on 1tsport.com. That's 1tsport.com. You can get the hoodie, the Magnum TA zip hoodie with the mug. Stay warm in both ways by drinking and by wearing that hoodie. You can also go to Greg Gagne's collection on there too. He's got the high flyer with more merchandise and a mug as well. Plenty of good stuff on there. Much more to come for 2025 with 1T Sport. We're making some moves and gonna try to get the word out more about the merch, more about the show too. I got to get better at clipping stuff up. That's my big issue. So
yeah, it's been our issue with you too.
Oh, geez. I understand. All right. But hey, everybody, thank you for tuning in live. Magnum, Greg, appreciate you both. Appreciate our producer, Robert.
Real quick.
Yep.
When are you making your wrestling debut?
I will be, this week. I will be at IWC Reloaded 11.0. I will be making my commentary. Well, not my commentary debut, but I'll be on call for a couple of matches. You might see a different side of me there. And my degenerate brother, Marcus, will be competing in the Royal Rumble that they have, the 16-bit man challenge, I believe. So
fantastic.
Look out on that. The D'Angelo brothers will be at IWC Reloaded. You can check that out on Triller TV. So if you want to subscribe to that, you can check it out there. So thanks, Greg. Appreciate that.
Hey, you gotta get that in there. You gotta get all those little plugs in.
That's it. I gotta get better at the art of promotion. You guys know what you're doing because you're wrestlers. You know what to do.
And we were letting you promote the show, and
I know.
We're at.
That's it. All right, guys. We'll see you next time here on Straight Talk with the Boss, Magnum TA and Greg Gagne.
So long.